We're back, baby. Guess what we're talking about?
We both know, Matt. We watched the film.
Yeah, true. We're watching we've watched Cargo this week, and we're going to give our opinions on it. Plus, all the latest. Wait, have we got film news this week?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah,
we can do a bit of film news
week. Stick around. Welcome back to another episode of Tripod Talk, where we talk anything and everything about films. My name's Matt Lister, I'm your host, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Miss Sophie Ellis, and Mr. Dylan. Hey. Look at your beaming, smiling faces in this darkly lit room. It's not that dark. Well, it's light outside, so that's fine. But anyway, you want to start off the week with any sort of stories, or do you want to go straight to the film news?
With any, from our life?
Yeah. We have life
Do an
stories to
anecdote.
tell.
I don't feel like we have any life stories to tell. It's just
We
work,
do.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, we work. We go to the shops.
Think about food quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys plan out food before you even get to a restaurant. Never mind, actually.
Only because...
Oh.
Sorry, I was loud.
You hit a nerve.
Because you'll be sat there and you'll be like, oh, are you guys ready for ordering? And you're like, no. Because even if we read the menu beforehand, we're pretty much...
This just adds more options.
Yeah.
I'd like kind of like a gulag style of eating, where like I went to a restaurant and they were like, "You're eating this." And I was just like, okay, cool, thanks, man. And then just like leave.
That can be arranged. I could do that for you.
Yeah, but then I know it's not. I know I could overrule, and then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was just like, yeah, the chef said this, or he'll stab you, then I'd eat what he gave me.
Actually, there is a place like that in Manchester, I believe.
I hope not fully like
But
that.
lights...
It's really expensive place. Australian place.
Australasia. That does... Yeah, but no, that's got an actual menu. Where the light gets in or something like that has like a set thing that you don't know what you're eating. That's local. I want to go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, anecdote of the week. There we go. So who wants to start with some film news?
Hi. The first one's more of a Roma. First one starts off as a bit of a rumour. Helena Bonham Carter tipped to bring her own brand of menace as the next James Bond movie villain.
That was the one you told me. I was very excited about.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I'd be on board with that.
Yeah, I didn't know she was 52 either.
Yeah,
That's
she's
well
old.
good for her age. She's not...
Well, by Hollywood standards, she is. Sorry.
Yeah, hit a hole.
It just says the 52-year-old actress terrified millions as sadistic witch Bellatrix in the final 4 Harry Potter films. With flaming orange hair and wild staring eyes, it's easy to see why Helena Bonham Carter may be the next Bond movie villain. So...
Yeah, no, I'd love that.
Danny Boyle's directing it, isn't he, as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
so
no, that'd
that's a good combo.
Yeah.
Very British.
be... yeah. Plus Daniel Craig's back as well. I'd love to see that film. What's wrong with Daniel Craig?
He's just not the best Bond, though, is he?
I like Daniel Craig, but
Yeah.
I
Pierce Brosnan.
like the kind of... My mum likes Pierce Brosnan, and I don't see it.
Was
He's
he
just like
your
a weird, hairy...
Sounds really weird
Oh,
to
yeah,
say.
no, I
Was he
remember
my
this.
first?
Yeah. Was he your first Bond that you've
I
seen?
think it's the first one I was majorly, like, I saw. Like, every now and again I'd watch a bit of an old Bond film, but they always seemed a bit kind of corny and weird to me. I don't like the old Bond films. I know a lot of people do, but I just think they're a bit kind of silly. But that's why I like the Daniel Craig direction, because it's a bit kind of darker, isn't it?
Yeah, I really like his
I like
versions.
psychological trauma in my films.
Plus, I think it's just him psychologically traumatizing himself now. The more that he does it, because he's like every film that he finishes now, he's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
Never.
I want to slit my wrist before I do that again. Then he's like, yeah, more money, I'll do it. But no. Any more films?
Yeah, there was one me and Dill were talking about before and weren't sure whether to bring it up. I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
Hollywood director Brian De Palma says he's writing a horror film script based on Harvey Weinstein's scandal.
Brian De Palma's done a lot. He's
Yeah, like
established.
Carrie,
Yeah, no.
Scarface and stuff. The reason is because he's followed it very closely. He says he knows a lot of people involved and he's heard stories over the years. He said that directors have to get actors' confidence in their love, and that to violate on any level, to me, is just the worst thing you can do just because of your gluttony or lust. So it could be interesting. But because it says, like, horror film.
Yeah, how do you do it as
Script.
a horror film? Because usually it's a sort of like a big monster sort of thing. Well, he is a monster, I guess. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what kind of direction that would go. Like literally, or
I think it's just the kind of predatory behavior side of
Yeah.
it. Just
that feels
a
more
lot-
like just like some sort of drama film with like a serious tone to it,
Yeah.
rather than specifically a horror.
It's going to spark quite a lot when it comes out, though.
Maybe they do something metaphorical and have him like eat them or something grim like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There you go. Brian De Palma, give me a call.
And the last one, last week we spoke about Solo: A Star Wars Story. The box office has massive 77% Friday to Friday drop.
Ooh.
That's
it's
quite a
week
big
two.
drop.
Yeah.
But
And it wasn't good in the first place, particularly, was it?
No.
Which is sad, but I don't know why it's kind of dropped off as much as it has. It's a weird time in the year, I guess, for films to come out, and it didn't really get much hype.
yeah, because most of the blockbusters now have kind of come more towards May, so it's kind of in that right sort of area. Because we got into June now, and like Jurassic World's coming out. You got your bigger films as well, like Incredibles 2. But
Yeah, which comes out in like 2 weeks in America. So annoying.
maybe it's just the competition. Like, because Avengers is still out. That's at $1.9 billion now, which is amazing. It's outstripped both the last two Avengers.
I don't know if it can be the competition though, because you weren't particularly bothered by it. I think it was just
I just
why
meant,
do a spin-off?
no, I meant more like in the actual cinema.
Sorry, I'm like
Sorry.
eating the furry. It's annoying.
Yeah, just for listeners, Soph's microphone happened to end up in her mouth. and
I'm
now
that
she's
hungry.
eating the fur.
I just looked up and your tongue like snaked out at it. I was like, what the hell?
But no, coming back to the thing, like we've also got Deadpool 2 in the cinemas. Is Quiet Place still about, or is that gone now?
That's dropped by now.
Yeah.
But you know, it's had quite a bit of competition to kind of go against at the moment, and then
True. I feel
obviously
pretty
you've got a
still
big.
out.
You've got people waiting for Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom.
Do you think
So-
people are super hyped about that? Also, we learnt in the week that
I
the
hope
main
not.
woman in Jurassic World is Ron Howard's daughter.
You guys learnt that. I knew that.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah. we saw it in Arrested Development. We were like, no, what? And then, yeah. But I couldn't imagine that many people being excited for Jurassic World because it doesn't seem like it's going to bring anything majorly new.
I'm not sure if kids love dinosaurs the way kids used to love dinosaurs. Now they're all playing Fortnite and stuff, and it's just like, it's about like
and dabbing.
yeah, it's about dance crazes and stuff. Whereas like, I'm sure when we were a kid, dinosaurs were the cool. Like everyone was kind of obsessed with dinosaurs for a time.
I think. I mean, I know where they're going with it. I don't want to spoil it just in case anyone wants to go in completely untainted. But it's still such a massive franchise. I think people will still go see it no matter what.
And they're bringing back Jeff Goldblum. And people love Jeff Goldblum, I think. So maybe that'll be enough of a draw for people.
Yeah, though I've heard he's not in it for that long.
I wouldn't imagine he is.
Yeah.
No, he's probably just doing it like 10 minutes in the film, then does all the press tour, and then that's
Yeah.
kind of what they need from him, basically.
Yeah, which, you know, fair
Fine,
enough.
whatever.
But no, I'm excited to see where this film goes. I mean, it feels a bit like, I don't know, because the trailer is an interesting one, because it feels like it's one of those trailers that plots out the whole like entirety of the film for us.
Yeah.
But I think they're holding back quite a lot, because we're still just kind of shown particularly one scene, which is the scene where everything's kind of jumping off the cliff into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
there's
true.
not much else going on about it. So I feel like there's going to be some good surprises. It'll get good reception for it. But
Just while we're on the topic, just before any more film news, if Dill has, do you have film news?
Yeah, I've got a bit.
Yeah. You know how certain films stay in the cinema just because of popular demand? Like, roughly it's between 4 and 6 weeks. Do you reckon the reason that The Strangers Pray at Night was out of the cinema completely after 2 days was because no one turned up at all?
It's probably part of it, yeah.
Because Great Showman's still there, and that's been there for a good 2 months, if not more.
I think it's more to do with deals between the distributors. Well, I said that really weirdly. I'm sorry. Distributors and the cinemas themselves, because we have a cinema here that we've got cinema tickets to, so obviously we go to that one, like, you know, monthly passes, what I mean. So we go to that one in particular. However, I know that film has been played in many other different cinemas, which are more mainstream, like Odeon and Cineworld and stuff like that. So, and View as well, that's another big one. And I know they were playing more in those kind of scenes, because obviously they can afford like the actual...
It's a bit more of like a small independent-ish
Yeah,
cinema
because the cinema we go to is called
Lights in the country.
Yeah.
But for 2 days, is that not still a bit?
Again, if they've got better deals to do, say for example, they can get 10 screenings a day in Cineworld, for like
good
much,
point.
for less cost in comparison to doing it for 10 screenings where they can't do that in a smaller screen. They'll probably just go for the bigger ones. I think that's how it works.
Have we seen any horror movies there? Because just when we've gone in general, there doesn't seem to be much of a kind of horror movie crowd. It's kind of a lot of...
Just A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place.
I watched Insidious, Lost Key, I think it was. But it doesn't really seem to have... Although we're all going watching Hereditary, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're not up for it, are you?
I'm actually
No,
looking
it does
forward to
look... It actually does look like a really interesting plot, which is weird to say for a horror film. So, I'm up
There's
for
a lot
watching it.
going on. That child in itself is a little, like...
Hey, you leave her alone.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm about?
No, I haven't seen the trailer.
You've not?
I've just seen... I
Oh.
don't
Yeah, he
like...
tries to not watch trailers, which I do commend, but at the same time I look at a trailer and I'm like, oh, let's watch it. So I'm always going against myself there.
Anyway, Dill?
No, yeah, I've just got basically a few small announcement-y kind of film news. First off, Tom Cruise released a photo of himself in Top Gun Maverick, which is a sequel that they're doing. Just says "Feel the Need." It's a poster he put on his Twitter.
My
So they think
mum
that's
is going to be happy with that.
Yeah, is she a fan?
Does your mum like Tom Cruise?
No, she just likes Top Gun.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Well,
Never known her to be a
she's got a
massive
bit of a
Cruise
wait. It's 12th of July 2019. Are we in 2018 now?
Yeah.
I was driving in and it took me at least like 5 minutes to work it out. It's really bad.
He's a time traveling boy.
Yeah, there's a Netflix film called The King coming out. It's based on Shakespeare's Henry IV and V, and I was just impressed with the cast they've got together so far. They've just announced Ben Mendelsohn and Robert Pattinson.
Oh.
Ben Mendelsohn is the guy he's kind of a bad guy in a lot of things. He's a villain in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, he's been big recently. He's been in Ready Player One. He was in Rogue One, Star Wars. Yeah, he's killing it.
Timothy Chalamet is playing Henry, and he's kind of got a lot of hype. He was in that Call Me By Your Name that came out last year and stuff, and people love that kid. Johnny Depp's daughter, Lily Rose Depp, is in the film as well, which is interesting to... I don't know whether I'm as a general person, I hate nepotism, and I just think it's grim, but maybe she's alright. I don't know. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, but I do kind of get annoyed when you see that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I also get annoyed when like they go by a different name and like people are giving them a load of credit for like going off their own back.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but I still imagine your dad was on the phone to a producer and like you weren't like working as a waitress for 15 years.
Yeah.
A bit of random news. James Marsden, he's in Westworld. He's in quite a lot of other little things like that. He's going to star in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out next year.
Oh my god.
That sounds fun. And just the last bit of news is some details have come forward about the sequel to Wonder Woman, which I still haven't seen, but I know you two are very into. They've said kind of the reports have suggested it's going to be set in the 80s. We've now got confirmation it's 1984 because a poster came out with WW 84. And
it's just World War 84.
Yeah.
It's actually like 300 years into the future.
So that Claire thought, I don't know what that word was. Clearly it's going to be a Cold War narrative. Kristen Wiig is playing the villain in it, which I'm kind of interested to see. It's called Cheetah.
Why are you surprised? That was my film news like 4 weeks ago.
What
Was
sorry?
it?
The Kristen Wiig
We get
thing.
through
Oh
the film
really?
news.
Yeah.
I just went straight out.
A bit of a wait
Forgot.
again though. November the 1st, 2019.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so that's a while coming, but it's the same people kind of doing it, so maybe that'll be one of those
So,
sequels that holds up.
Patty Jenkins back to direct.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm up for that. Hopefully they get a bigger budget for better CGI because it was a bit shoddy in certain parts. But yeah.
Yeah, it was only in like 2 or 3 things, and she was like jumping from a bridge and stuff, but other than that. And really weird, Maroon 5's new song, Girls Like You, came out, and Gal Gadot was just in it dancing, and I was like, come again? Do you remember I was showing you and
Yeah,
you're
you
getting
did.
annoyed because YouTubers are on there as well?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They don't compare to her.
Not to her, just like movie stars and stuff. It's like now they're in the same bracket. And it's like
Yeah. just spend more time with Gal Gadot. Why don't you? Or like, I get what you mean.
Yeah. But really quickly, not really film news, celeb news.
Celeb news.
Celeb
Oh
news.
my God,
Here
we're
we
branching
go.
out.
Yes.
Benedict Cumberbatch was praised. He helped a guy that was getting mugged while he was at like doing a Deliveroo service,
Oh yeah.
and he helped him fend off like 4, like not gangsters, chavs probably.
Yeah. I was gonna say it feels like the story's been so hyped in the news. I imagine like there was a guy, there was 2 dudes who came up to him, and then he was just like, "Stop it!" and they were like, "Oh, we got caught."
Shit, we know him. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't imagine there's any like I don't know, but it's
The
still
fight
fine.
scene.
Yeah.
And Stanley got threatened outside his home with some guns recently, but he's all right now.
That's fine.
Oh. Well,
Nice.
good for Benedict, bad for Stan.
Yeah.
Well, shall we tie up film news, go into the film?
Yeah.
Sure.
Tied up.
I was just about to tie it up. I'm not going to add in any sort of sound effect with that. However, we shall bring back the klaxon later. But for now, we're going to talk about Cargo. We're going to go into, we're going to give a little bit of a spoiler-free review. Then you're going to hear the klaxon. I just added it in. And then we'll go into the spoilers for anything we want to go into the film. But yeah, what did you guys think of the? Well, shall I
Give a bit of background?
Give a bit of background first before I go jumping head first into this film. But basically, a guy called Andy, a man in the middle of the Australian outback, and also amidst a zombie apocalypse, has to find a safe place for him and his daughter. Nice little summary. Or?
No, yeah, that's okay. We'll get into it in more detail
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's the Netflix film that's came out recently.
Yeah, which
With
I
Martin
think it's been out
Freeman
for
in the
a
lead.
month now, maybe.
Yeah,
something
somewhere
like
around that.
that. We've been wanting to watch for a while. We've only just got around to watching it now. But what did you think of the film?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I've only ever seen Martin Freeman in a couple of things, being like Avengers. No.
Black
Is he in
Panther.
Avengers? Black Panther, there we go. And Sherlock.
Mm.
So I wasn't really sure what to expect because I didn't know anyone else in the cast, and I just knew it was about an infection. But yeah, it was all right. Dill said that his friend got a bit upset over it, so I was like, I'm done for, and
And you were thoroughly done for.
can't explain how sad I was.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think it was that sad. I can see that it was emotional, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed the film too. There's thought it was a nice, simple, straightforward story. Nice little bit elements with certain characters kind of coming together, and I just love the cinematography in this film.
Yeah.
Also the whole zombie thing in the Australian outback. I've never seen that sort of setting with that situation in a film before, which I thought was really refreshing for me.
Yeah, it was probably the best I've ever seen, like that kind of like, because Australia as a country is like such a, like the vast majority of it's uninhabited, and it's got like loads of different climates and stuff. It's probably the best I've seen that kind of set across in a film in a long time. I know it's a remake of a short film,
Yeah.
so I think that's where like it kind of gets the simpler story, and it's kind of, there's quite a lot of detail, kind of metaphor and messages getting put across,
Yeah.
and that's still going on and getting put through in kind of a subtle way. But whilst it's a lot left to kind of the cast, I think, and just the situation and how not everything isn't explained to you as well, which I liked. Like, you just have to kind of work stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helped with the way that it was shot in particular. You know, just kind of certain shots loom in and go on what may happen or may not happen in the future, and then you're kind of left to try and anticipate what's going to happen next, which I thought was nice. Plus, it was very well paced. I didn't think there was that much filler, and it was just kind of bit to bit, but it was also kind of character driven as well, which I thought was nice. Specifically with Martin Freeman, I thought he was amazing in this. Really good performance. Also, that baby, give that baby an Oscar.
That baby did more acting than anyone else in that film. Did you see? Looked shocked, was crying at the right time.
Honestly, she did a better performance than Halle Berry in
Oh,
Kidman.
guys, come on.
That's true.
No,
That's
it's
definitely
honestly true.
The baby, there was like an emotional moment, and the baby like rested its head on Martin Freeman's head, and I was like, "Oh crap, that was mind blowing."
Did you see the part when, or if you know, obviously you saw it, but there's a part where a girl's kind of rubbing some whatever it was, like
Like
powder on the baby,
paint, yeah.
and the baby just kind of looked up and went. What was that? Sorry, I can't.
It's
podcast
really
listeners, you can't- I
embracing
know,
the.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just really
Just loved
embracing
it.
and kind of loving that moment, and I thought it was really sweet. But yeah,
It was a different take on the whole apocalypse situation. Like they said, they talked about them as virals rather than zombies in the film when they were making the film as well, because they wanted to have a different aspect to it. And I liked.
Oh, sorry.
I think it did that. Oh yeah, go on.
I was gonna say also, just like this isn't a spoiler, but in the film you get to see some sort of like first aid kits to do with this viral outbreak specifically, and that was a really interesting thing to see because you don't usually get that sort of thing in that type of film.
Unless it's on your show Doomsday Preppers.
Oh, yeah, I've been watching a new series on Netflix.
I told him.
And it's terrible, but it's also hilarious and quite interesting at the same time. So.
Yeah.
It shows that people do prepare for that though, because that woman that thought there was going to be a viral outbreak, she packed a load of sanitary stuff like for hair. I mean, it's not for like zombie type things, but
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
actually part of like a point I was thinking about when I watched this film as well, is that like one side of the whole zombie thing you don't often think about is that the people who kind of live on the edge and the more extreme communities and people, they're the ones who are going to do better than your average person, because they're going to be quicker to lose those kind of social constraints, and like, you know, hardened criminals or indigenous people who kind of live in a traditional sense are going to do a lot better in these situations. So when we see like, you know, The Walking Dead and it's a bunch of like, you know, like a pizza delivery driver and stuff like that, and it's just like those aren't going to be the people who are going to survive.
yeah.
I suppose like the farmer will, because he's used to building things for himself. But that's, and then the people who kind of towards lawlessness, they're going to do better as well, because they're
Yeah.
going to be quick to being like, I've had to make my own way and put myself first all through life. So then like that side of it, and kind of there's some examples of people being exploited, was like, oh, I've never really thought about that side of it particularly before, and how just kind of easy it must have been. Not that we'll get into it more specifically later on, I guess.
Yeah. Have you got any other kind of spoiler-free things before we're going to talk more about the plot and what kind of happened? And
Spoiler free, no. I think the main thing that brought me out of it, even though I came around to liking it in the end, was when you see the visuals on the people.
okay.
Doesn't really see. I enjoy looking at the way they walk, and it's all contorted and stuff, but I expected something a bit more sinister going on the face.
So just the way the zombies actually looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got like this weird yellowy goo on their eyes and the mouth and stuff, which is kind of gross as it is. And it is different from stuff that you usually see, but I was expecting something a bit more detailed. Is that the right word? I
See,
suppose
thinking about-
grotesque. I don't
yeah,
know.
I can see what you mean. See, thinking about it now, I guess, what with it just being a virus, those make more sense biologically, that you get kind of pus kind
Yeah.
of substances and stuff like that. You're not going to get like eyeballs falling out and things,
Yeah.
which is like, you know, when you get super extreme zombie stuff with it.
Yeah.
Like, so I can see how it might be more true to life in a fake zombie apocalypse scenario. But yeah, I can see what you mean. There wasn't that much impact when you saw them up close.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite to that. I quite like the way that it was completely different to anything we'd seen before. Plus, I thought in the moment, because they shot it quite well to start off with, in the fact that it was very sort of, the less you see, the more scary, like the monster is. And there were certain ways they did that, shot that so that it was. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Bit of footsie.
I know, footsies again. My God.
But yeah, it was like kind of even down to the like cars kind of going off and the dust comes up into the air, and even that kind of masks zombies and stuff. I thought that was interesting, the way they kind of did that. But no, I really enjoyed the design of it. I thought in the moment when it was like a really dire situation that they were in, I thought it was suitable for that moment to see them up close like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to? Does anybody want to sound the klaxon?
You do it,
You
mate.
can go for it, man.
Just did
Hey,
it.
sort of.
We need to get a soundboard so that I can play it here, so we can do it in time rather than me doing it actually.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, spoiler stuff. So if you've not watched the film, please go and see it, and then come back here and listen to what we thought about the film. But yeah, you have been warned.
All right.
I just put in another klaxon.
An angry accent.
I don't know. If
Like aggressive.
Right. So, anybody want to start us off?
Yeah, go on then. It opens up with Martin Freeman and his wife and his baby on a boat where you find out they've been living for how long now?
It's a matter of months.
Months.
Yeah.
And he goes into this like abandoned boat that's crashed to get some food because the wife was whinging. And then he finds like a bottle of wine, finds some other packets that could last him for like 3 months. And then he hears a rattle in the wardrobe or the closet, freaks out a little bit, gets back. But he fails to tell his wife that there's anything in there. He says it's safe.
Yeah, he didn't want to freak her out about putting himself in danger.
Yeah.
Which is
weird because at first you're like, has he been bitten? Is he keeping it a secret from the start? And then she decides to go in there to find him a razor, just to be that little bit more greedy. And then because she thought it was safe in there, she just sort of got grabbed and knackered.
Yeah.
I didn't think that she was going to make it out. Like the way she got pulled in.
Yeah,
I
thought she
was
gone.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought he was just going to be like, had to go back himself to investigate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which, that would, to be honest, I would have preferred to have seen it done that way. Plus, there were some weird editing cues at that point where it just kind of cut to... It kind of stunted it a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
at that point for me.
It's happened quite a bit through the film, though. It cuts it and it's like, oh, okay, so they got out of that fine.
Mm.
But it kind of shows how she progressed. And for some reason, in all the panic after being attacked, she still brought the razor back. The razor was on the floor amongst all the blood, and I was like, that is not... If you're getting attacked, you wouldn't still have hold of that razor. You'd
To be
be
fair,
like fighting.
I think if I'd probably be stubborn in that situation. So I was like, yeah, I got it, okay? I got what I went for.
See, I didn't think she did. Do you think she just went for the razor? Again,
No,
I know
I
it's
think-
deliberately left open-ended,
No.
but I think she went for like more of a general rummage, and she also kind of found the razor.
Yeah.
She was just like, ooh, jackpot.
Yeah. I thought that's what the case was.
But yeah, and it sort of progresses, doesn't it? And then she develops a bit more, and
We've
the
got no
inevitable
Yeah.
stupid thing happens.
Felt like they only, because the reason they get into the situation, especially when he gets bitten, is because they see a man in the middle of the road. Turns out he was a zombie. I'd have just run him over. Even if he was a normal man, I think I'd have just gone straight through him instead of risking crashing into a tree, which, kind of felt
Fair enough.
more for the plot.
Maybe, yeah. I suppose.
I don't know. I think in that instance, because he was looking at making sure everyone was okay, and then it just shocked him. I
I was
suppose.
going to say that's
you
one
would
one
just-
feeling I got from this film that was like being in this situation in your head, and the way you've seen it before, it's like constant action and like trying to survive. Whereas I imagine what I got from this film was a bit like loads of dead time and not seeing a zombie and just kind of getting frustrated and
Yeah.
dealing with your own problems and being hungry and whatnot. And then all of a sudden there's 8 seconds where critical 8 seconds
Yeah.
and just being focused and concentrated, and you can't make the best decisions in those kind of long moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt like the only reason he got bit was like for the plot, because
Yeah, I
he knew
feel-
that she had a seatbelt on. He knew that she couldn't move because she got impaled. So why bother trying to go back to the baby when you know the zombie can't move? You know what I mean? Because he reached into the back, and that's the reason why he got bit. It's like you just take your seatbelt off, go around the car.
That's where the cutting and the editing annoyed me, because it showed that he was trying to get out that side door to get out,
Yeah.
and then he didn't, and he leaned in and got bit, and then it cut, and then they were outside. Like he'd helped her out and they'd got out, and I was like, well, how have you managed to drag her out, make sure she's fine, and get out yourself, and you were struggling so much before? Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just...
The thing that stood out to me about that scene, did you notice when he was sat leaning against his car, he'd been bitten, he was looking at the back of the baby, which was like across the plane, and then he does like a smile, like he smiles in that moment, and I was just like, wow, what the hell's...
Yeah.
As in, it was a weird acting choice, but it kind of impressed me, and I was like, I don't really know what that's... It was just like, in the moment, I was like, that's an odd... Because obviously everything's just hit rock bottom there, like he's been bit, his wife's been bit, but he's looking at like the back of his baby in a seat, and he's like smiles for a second.
Was that after he did that random, like, shout? And he sort of, like, yelled out?
I can't remember.
I can't remember
I
what
feel like it
the
was
order
after
of it.
that, maybe.
I suppose you'd smile because it's still your baby and your baby's okay, but then
Yeah.
again, all that's going through your mind is like, I'm going to die. My wife just died. What's going to happen to the kid?
That's what I was thinking. That's why it was interesting to me. Like, people react in strange ways in those situations.
Yeah.
And, like, I kind of got that sense a lot that, like, because he's throughout the entire film, really, he doesn't know what he's doing and he's making the wrong decisions. Like pretty much every decision he makes is wrong, which again is a different aspect than the whole zombie thing, because usually you're following this like a dude with double shotguns or whatever, like something like that.
Though, like, to forgive that scene, there was one bit of cinematography I did really like, is that when he woke up from, he kind of came back to consciousness, and he saw that his wife had written in blood on the car door, "Save her."
Yeah.
And I thought it was just quite powerful to be like, oh wow, like, you know, she's known that she's gone, and then she had, you know, she'd written that out to kind of.
But that plays in at the end, doesn't it?
I was going to say that's a really good. I really like that foreshadowing, because that's one of my favorite moments of the film. Is the moment right at the end where they pull up the baby's t-shirt and he's written "thank you" on her and their own kind of war paint stuff. Like that was a really good. I really enjoyed that moment of the film. Like I thought that was really a good touch. And like I was saying before, where they don't explain much. Did you get why they were burying the head in the sand? When they started burying their heads and like they'd just be sticking with like.
I thought it was to cut off the oxygen to the head, maybe. Like I don't know if the zombies were doing that or if people were doing that.
It's because they didn't like light.
Or...
They explain it towards the end. Is that they don't like the light, but when it was happening, they explained that after highlighting it like 4 or 5 times and him doing it himself, and I was just like, oh, I love that they didn't explain it to us. It was just a weird thing going on, and like even with the editing, I kind of forgave that because it was just the whole part of the film is just everything's confused and panicked and you don't really know what's going on. You're just trying to get through to the next bit. You're just trying to keep surviving.
Yeah, no, that's a nice kind of meta way to look at it as well.
It's a bit forgiving.
What?
Nothing.
No, okay. Because you pointed out when we were watching it, Soph, that like we saw all the zombies with their heads in the sand, and then one of them got up. And I was like, oh, maybe that's kind of someone else, but no, that explains that really nicely.
Yeah, because you see him, like Martin Freeman's digging with his hands, but you never see him fully put his head in, and then he wakes up and he's on his side, and you know, you never see him directly with his head.
See, to me, that's again, in that moment, that's the point where he kind of lost himself and he became fully the zombie.
Because he heard his daughter at that point as well, so it kind of helped snap him out of it. Which with the center, I know we're skipping towards the end here, but like the again, well, we're already spoiled anyway. The part where he gets killed.
Let's jump straight to.
You know, with Toomey, is that how you pronounce it?
Toomey,
Toomey, spraying the scent of the wife.
Yeah.
Over, and then you can kind of. Yeah, because you actually see him kind of stop as well. You see him kind of
like
become
his
him
head
just a little bit, which is weird because then it kind of seems like maybe there is a cure because he kind of
it's still in there somewhere. Yeah, I think by that point though, because from the start, obviously, when the mum dies, he carries around the perfume for the baby to stay calm. That was like a nice thing to keep them both
really nice
comforted.
Moment.
But when you meet Toomey, this little girl, not a boy, little girl.
It's an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, no, we were. You kind of find out that she's keeping her dad somewhat alive with this wood in his mouth and sort of feeding him and stuff like that.
She uses her own blood to lead him when she needs to get him in.
Yeah, and she knows that there's something in there, and she says that her dad's just lost his soul.
They're indigenous. People that she's part of, and I think that was a kind of one of those main messages of the films as well. Is like the whole impact of Western colonization and civilization on indigenous people in the world.
Yeah,
like I love the fact that did you notice one of the indigenous guys had a number 23 on the back of his shirt?
No.
So he had which is a Michael Jordan thing. So even though these were people living in spares and in the middle of the Australian jungle. They still had access to that kind of culture, but they chose to live in their kind of traditional ways. And I like that kind of side of it. Like they're not totally out of it. When people think of like Native Americans and indigenous people and stuff, you think of them as like these kind of old school, living separate to the real world type thing. But then you realize that they're aware of everything that's going on. They just choose to kind of follow their own belief systems.
Yeah. Also, that reminded me as well, just going back to that first aid kit thing that I was talking about before, which had like the thing to kill a zombie in it, which I thought was good. They also had like a mouth brace, which meant they couldn't bite anyone either, which I thought was really interesting because it's such a small detail to add in. But obviously that does make a lot of sense in the zombie apocalypse to have that kind of thing. And it's like, I've never seen that in any sort of other film before. But it was just a really small thing that kind of impressed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't see the using him to carry them thing when they did that at the end. That blew my mind. I didn't expect that. Maybe I should have done, like, you saw her wrapping the meat on the stick, you saw the mouth guard for him.
Also putting the baby back on him as he went down, because at that point we were both like, why is the baby on him when he's putting his head in?
I was confused. I thought like she was going to abandon the baby after all of that and just go back to the family. And I was like, please don't do that, I'm already a mess. But going back to how his character isn't really perfect and doesn't make all the right decisions, there is a point where he comes across a man called Vic, and Vic offers him a place to stay with his baby if he helps him sort of hunt for, well, it seems jewellery most of the time, and other belongings. So they're like based in a security.
Vic's plans to hoard resources. Then when they get past this, he's going to hold all the power because he's got all that kind of stuff.
Which I genuinely loved. Like, I've never really kind of seen that again in a zombie film before. It's like someone's actually planning for the life after.
Yeah.
Like when everything apparently goes back to, air quotes, normal. So yeah, and also you kind of see his motivations to a certain extent, like they make sense to a degree, because you're like, yeah, you would want to try and keep that mindset to be like, oh well, when everything's fine again, I'm trying to get better for myself and my family. I mean, it's a weird family.
Yeah,
it's not
really
really
a family. The wife made me super uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, no.
She was on the screen. I was like, oh, this is wrong.
Matt thought she was blind.
Oh yeah.
Did you? Oh, that
Only at one point. Only at one point. Afterwards, I was like,
hostage.
She didn't really acknowledge, and then when he like kissed her and put the pearls on, she took them straight off, and we were like, oh bloody hell. But after this escape plan that they all formed to get away from Vic, if they hadn't have ran off when she told them to come back, she wouldn't have had to sacrifice herself and got shot herself. But because he was so eager to get out of there, he just sort of risked everything because he didn't think about the consequences.
Every man for himself.
Well, yeah, but the whole point was for them all to go.
I know.
But that's what I mean, like, it's that's what makes it more relatable, because in that moment you would panic and you would run and want to get out of there.
Well, while we're on the topic of Vic, the Vic coming back in that scene blew my mind. Like, I wasn't expecting Vic to make a reappearance for some reason. And then I was talking to Soph before we did this, but the actual moment where Vic has his baby, and Vic's like kind of he actually like grabs her by the back of the hair and kind of pulls her head back a little bit, which was fucking freaky to see. But like what Martin Freeman says there was, to me, like, I was like, that's the most British thing. This is where I could absolutely believe as a character. He goes to him, "Come on, mate." And the fact that he says mate to him, like, I was just like, oh my god, that's so, like, this is so believable. He goes, "Come on, mate, we're both fucked." I think he says, and we don't need to do this. But the "come on, mate, we're both fucked," I was just like, I know I shouldn't have been, but I was dying laughing. Yeah. Because I was like, oh my god, that's the most real bit of dialogue I could imagine for that situation. Just to, like, this guy, you've seen him kill someone, you've seen him, like, using humans as bait, and, like, he's trying to strangle your daughter. Your baby daughter, you're like, "Come on, mate." Like, it's such a great moment for me.
Yeah, no, I genuinely I loved the character of Vic as well in this, because A, with the motivation, but B, also the whole villain arc, and I'm going to kind of put a quote around that, because again, he's not necessarily a villain, or I don't think he is personally. It's just more kind of people in this world and not like crossing paths with each other, but it also fit nicely within the story where obviously, you know, the zombies are supposed to be the main threat. Yeah. But you've kind of got this other threat going on as well, and it wasn't the main focus of the plot necessarily. It's just like something that happened, because obviously the main point of the plot is him to get his daughter to a safe place. I just thought it tied in quite nicely and made everything flow quite naturally as well.
I agree with that.
He's representative of like a bigger thing, isn't it, as well as like just the kind of complex and like the thing of like benefiting when things hit their worst, like, you know, military companies that are all that kind of major stuff. Not to get really deep into it, but like what he's kind of standing for is all those people who, when things hit their worst, they immediately tried to kind of like put themselves first and make it to their benefit at the cost of everybody else. And they can just kind of fool themselves that way. I kind of going all the way back, I was really impressed with just the relation. Like, did you think it was such a believable relationship between Martin Freeman and his wife in the film? Like, they had a bit of an argument, and it was like a very believable argument, and then, like, you know, they left each other to cool off, which is what would happen as well. You wouldn't just kind of like, and then he did something nice for her, and just the fact the jokes they're making about the baby preferring her.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of thing a couple kind of like, like I just felt like that was all kind of everybody in this film was a believable person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vic like working on the gas thing and locking everybody else in to make sure he survives.
Yeah.
And then just taking the guy from work with the hottest wife, which is basically what he did, I take it.
Yeah.
Like you could just see everybody behaving the way they did and understand how like on the event of an apocalypse there'd be other things going on than the usual zombie bashing we see.
What do you think regarding that sort of white paste and stuff they put on the face? Toomey says that it makes them sort of blend in and that they can't. Do you think that's just a belief of
Yeah, I
theirs?
think that's just mixing the traditional beliefs with what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Because I weren't sure how they were going to play into it, because she was like, oh, the paint's rubbing off. And I was like, I don't really think that matters. But obviously as like a child and being in that situation, whether that would work.
So it's almost kind of disguised as well, like you look a little bit more like them. Even like using the traditional ways they'd fight and stuff like that was effective, because it would kind of, I don't know, it was a different side of it. I liked the way that the indigenous people were the ones who survived well.
Yeah. I didn't see
Made sense.
the whole thing with an actual, like, people who were not Aboriginals or, like, in that kind of paint and stuff as well. Like, a whole little community surviving. I didn't see that, actually.
No.
Coming, which
it was hard to see from the start. When you first see them on the boat, they pass a family.
Oh,
a man, woman, 2 children, and the guy shows his gun, and he just sort of looks a bit off, so Martin Freeman just leaves them to it.
Yeah.
And then it calls back to them, and the man's like, you can have my caravan, you can have anything in there, and it becomes clear that they're sort of like digging a grave.
He says, I've got 6 bullets. You can have the last 2.
God. Yeah,
And he like pleads with him to take the last 2. And then as well, that was a real hard moment. He like walks up in the background as he shoots himself. So like, why are you chasing the guy? Just kill yourself with your... Why are you...
That's exactly what I thought as
I
well.
was like, what are you running after him for?
The only reason I thought for that is specifically for the plot, so that he can see him and pick up the gun. And obviously the next shot was him with the gun, so I was like, yeah, okay.
It could have been that he
against
wanted him to
Vic in the
take the
end.
gun. So it might have been like the guy was actually... Because the guy seemed like he was a good dude, even in those... Like, you know what I mean? Not like a good dude, but he's like a family man.
Yeah.
He's just been put in this situation, and this is the only eventuality he can use.
Not that I like it, but I appreciate it in the film, if that makes any sense. It's nice to kind of see someone else's point of view to that point where, they've got nothing else. So that's the only way out for them.
See, that's the thing, though. It only showed that he had the bite. It was never clear about the others. It showed his bite on his neck. And then
I
pretty
thought
sure...
That's why it was so dark for me. I thought they had no idea.
Yeah, no,
like,
I
even the
don't
wife,
think...
And he was like, they're not going to be able to survive without me.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, no, I didn't think that they knew. Because when they were like, say bye to the baby and, oh, look at this treasure, I don't think the mum would be that calm.
No.
He was saying... I swear Martin Freeman says to him, like, you can't just leave your family like this. And he was like, I'm not. That's exactly what I'm doing, sticking with them. And that's what he did. He killed them all at the same time. That's what made it even darker, because I don't think the kids or even the wife had a clue.
I didn't even think... I thought the wife would have been involved.
Maybe she was bitten, but it's not said. And if she...
No.
Yeah.
And she just looked so, like, smiling at Andy and just playing with the kids. I don't think you'd be able to see if she was forcing some sort of happiness in it, whereas she just didn't look.
I think it's good to show something like that as well, because sometimes when we watch these films and you only see the hero's point of view, you think you start to put yourself as like, oh, I'd be doing that, I'd be persistent, and I'd be like, whereas when you see the total other extreme side, you're like, all right, I would be a bit of a balance. Like, maybe I would have given up a long time ago. Maybe, obviously, having the kid is one thing, but this guy, like, having a kid isn't some mythical thing that changes your willpower and who you are as a person. Like, this guy's got 2 kids and a family, and this is just the decision he feels he has to make.
Yeah.
So that kind of almost, like, underlines how much you should be rooting for Martin Freeman, I guess, to a point. That he's not kind of giving up, in quotation marks.
Oh, yeah, no, he keeps going to the very end, literally. Yeah.
That perfume stuff was pretty, I think, I don't know why it didn't hit me harder.
I was sort of hoping towards the end, I was like, please don't, because you saw the clever man, which in a flashback...
Like, don't let him fix them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a flashback where he kind of predicts it. He tells a young Toomey and her dad, before obviously all this happens, that there was some sort of like illness going about.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And
Because you said, wow, don't say that in front of the kids. I was like, well, he's got a point.
yeah, but to
Everyone
freak the
died.
kids out. But then Toomey's on like a search for the clever man to heal him, and he's already out with Toomey's family. And then because you knew that's where they were going, I was like, if he manages to restore him through whatever they tried, because he did get to a hospital at one point, and there was a woman there that said there's not much you can do except hide your bite marks, and she helped them out for a bit.
That was a weird inclusion. Just like 1 or 2 scenes.
Yeah, because she took off her wig as well, and she had like a scar, and I was just like, I was confused. Obviously, she was a teacher of Toomey and stuff. That's how he got to know him a bit more.
Yeah.
But no idea what that part.
I think it was
shown.
just for me it built a bit of tension as well, because just like, is this like matron, like she looks like a nice really like, is she gonna do something really aggressive here because of what they've been led to?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like it builds that thought up in you, and then she doesn't. So again, a bit of faith in humanity maybe comes out of it, as opposed to being like as opposed to just having him stumble on the photo or something like that. There are people trying out there, but you can see again the security she'd led to. She was sat in the dark waiting for him.
Have we got any more stuff to go into, or do you want to put this film through the 10-star movie review challenge? It's not really a challenge. It's a rating system. But
Just quickly, before we finish, they make a point of putting the bodies in trees, so nothing can sort of attack it or anything else can come of it, because Loomis finds his dad in the tree, but all cleaned up and at peace. Like, there's no pus around the eyes or anything like that. And it just has like the clothing that said like Willie on it and stuff. And then right at the end, I knew they were going to do it with him and put Andy in there, and it had his little mobile for his daughter.
I don't even remember that.
It was right at the end.
I didn't spot that. Oh no, that's good.
Yeah.
To be fair, but you saw that coming. See,
Yeah.
even with the Willie thing, I noticed he had like a convenience store or something uniform, didn't he?
Yeah.
But again, like that's the indigenous people. Like obviously he'd broken up with the girl's mum, and she had some very strong belief not to go to her. So clearly there was some background there. But they still kind of showed him the respect as a member of their people, that they like gave him the proper send off and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice, because it hadn't happened yet, and they were just sort of walking, and I just started like crying, proper crying. Matt was like, nothing's happened. I was like, they're gonna put him in the tree. I know they are. And at that point, you know,
I might need to watch the last like few minutes again.
yeah, because it's that little fish mobile that they had, you know, with the thingy that was tied up there, and it had all the sticks on the top, which they did last time, and it just
it's an emotional one.
felt so sad for ages after that. But anyway, shall we move on to the movie review?
Yes! So this is the 10-star movie review, where we put films through the ultimate test. For every question we vote yes, that film gets
1 star.
The ultimate goal is to get
10 stars.
God damn it.
Sorry. As there are 3 of us, the majority vote wins, though half stars are up for contention when necessary. And a small disclaimer, the rating system we give don't always match our enjoyment or experience of the film. This is just a rating system.
Yes, it is.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hey. Question number 1, does the story make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, straightforward.
Nice.
Beautiful. Question number 2, did the script and the dialogue between characters feel natural?
Yes.
Come on, mate. 100% yes.
Yeah, that's
just for that.
Very strong.
Yeah. Well, like we've already said, like the relationships between people feel natural as well. Also, the baby.
How he built the trust with Toomey as well. Like, it's very on edge, and he's on edge the whole time, but she can tell he's not, like, he doesn't say please. I don't know why I noticed that, but he kept ordering her. He never said please, and I was like, this is disgusting.
That sounds like something you'd pick up on.
Yeah, which ironically,
But you could tell she could tell. They built it in a real way. She eventually trusted him as a real, as a good person.
He's a real person.
Yeah,
As
I
a
keep
real
saying that. I
person.
just like the way he portrayed it. I think he was really real in the acting of it.
Okay, 2 stars. Question number 3, did you believe that the world of the film existed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not much else to say.
There's not. I think we've covered quite a bit.
Pretty
of these.
much, so it's probably just more of a yes or no answer,
Yeah.
to be honest. Question number 4, did you believe that the characters existed in the world of the film?
Yes.
Yes. Question number 5, did you get emotionally invested in the characters?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
gonna give it that.
I'm going to say
I
that.
didn't cry, but I don't have to cry at every film, do I?
No.
No.
Cool.
You cried
as
at
long as you have,
Coco.
like, a
That's
level-
Cry at that. I'm gonna cry at Coco
If you
again.
have like a
Yeah.
level of
Looking forward to it.
relatability and like an emotion of you wanting them to succeed or whatever, I feel like that counts. So. Yeah, 5 stars so far. Question number 6, did you like the visual and audible elements of the film?
Big
Yes.
fan. Yeah.
Yes, massive fan.
Looked really good.
I
Big
couldn't.
fan.
Yeah,
Big fan.
I couldn't remember more of the soundtrack or like the score. Sorry, but I believe if you don't really notice it, then that's good.
I read a bit about it, and it was apparently they used 2 people. One of them was like the most famous Aboriginal musician and like vocalist ever, who died halfway through the film, and it's dedicated to him. And the other one was like a young dude from like an they're like a hip hop trio.
Oh yeah.
Of like again another indigenous guy, and there was a bit with like I noticed the guys kind of singing and stuff like that. But I thought it was a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't as...
It didn't overwhelm anything. It
Yeah.
kind of just felt in the moment.
Fair enough. Okay, question number 7. Were you diegetically absorbed into the film?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I might go for a half for that. I probably shouldn't have, but I was losing focus at times. But I don't think it's particularly a fault of the film. I think it's more just me, like, being all over the shop.
See, I think, like, the points that we brought up,
Sure.
to do with the editing at parts, after you kind of explaining a little bit more, it's like putting the viewer into a confused state as well. I feel like kind of adding that effect, like the earlier parts of the film, kind of taking that into consideration, I'd go for a full star rather than a half star, because it kind of makes up for that. Plus, it only kind of happened in that part of the film rather than throughout the whole film. So, that's my stomach. I think I'm going to give it the full star.
I'd go with the full star.
Yeah, I think as well. It's the problem with watching films at home as opposed to in the cinema. If I watched that in the cinema, I'd be absolutely enwrapped, I think.
Yeah.
But because it was at home, it's like you got your phone there and there's other noises and stuff. Like, it's hard to be completely. So maybe I'm holding it to too high a standard. But
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it getting the star. Yeah, I was just a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have something to?
I was laughing. The only time that I, like, came out of it, you can cut us out, is because you farted and it sounded like it said help. And it made me laugh that much. It made me laugh that much that I, like, stopped, like, getting upset at something, because I just kept on hearing the repeat in my head.
Yeah, that was a good moment. Okay, question number 8. Sorry, huh? That's my stomach.
Oh, Jesus. We better get you some food, man.
Yeah. No, it's just my.
I was
Yeah,
just
it
doing
does it all
some
the
stuff.
time.
Yeah, mine does the same. I always feel bad.
Question number 8. Well, I'll wait for you to stop laughing so I got a clean cut. Sorry. Question number 8. Did the film have a good ending? Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
it
I like the fact that they used him. Like, even in his zombie state, he still did the last few steps to bring him through.
Yeah.
And they kind of like Timmy looked out for him, like he looked out for her, and I got faith in those indigenous people to look after the baby.
Yeah.
She's probably gonna be a cool kid. So I'm on board with the ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number 9. Did you enjoy the film?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wow, we're on 9 stars.
Oh my
It's
lord!
not going to get the 10, though,
I
is
did
it?
think it was gonna.
Question number 10. Did the film have a personal impact on you?
Nah.
No.
Maybe if I like had a kid or something, it would hit a bit harder with the
Yeah.
whole things you'll do for your kid. Like
What, like
dialogue
kidnap?
that's in the world. Oh Jesus!
Yeah, no. Wow, 9
I feel
stars.
like that
Yeah.
film kidnapped an hour and a half of my life. Hey,
Get
Yeah.
out.
get shot on. I mean, even with Halle Berry on screen, I still wasn't happy.
But yeah, that's 9 stars. That's the best rating we've given to any film on the 10-star movie review. Runner-up being Isle of Dogs on 8.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
What
it's
good film that was.
yeah.
See, I like the way this review is, because again, it's a kind of one you kind of feel like you need to explain, but we're not saying it's a 9 out of 10 film as it's been made. We're just saying by the questions we're asking, which kind of measure how much we take from it as like a film experience, like how much we enjoy it and how much we kind of feel it makes sense overall.
Yeah.
Like, I think it deserves it within that. Like, we're not trying to say it's a 9 out of 10 film.
Oh yeah.
We're just trying to say, like, watching this was like a 9 out of 10 like overall.
Experience. Yeah.
Plus, we hit every single aspect, or not every single, but we hit the main areas of what a film should be as well. So it should be written well. The characters should be kind of developed in a certain way. The actors should be able to act play the parts really well. Plus, it should look good. It should sound good. It should kind of have an impact on you to a certain extent where you actually want to invest your time into these characters. So, yeah, maybe it is a 9-star film. You never know. But I'd love to. I would have loved to have seen this in the cinema.
Although
that's the only problem with kind of home streaming stuff, which I really hope Netflix get on that idea.
Netflix
if
cinema,
not,
it's a top idea.
If not, we should just open it up. Should rent a cinema.
I'd be up for that.
Yeah. Let's do it. Can't cost much.
Let's do it. But anything else you want to talk about, or shall we end the podcast there?
Good job, Cargo.
Good, very good.
Apparently Martin Freeman, I was telling you guys before as well, like he was apparently like a really good leader on the set, and you hear a lot of negative stuff about him, so I'm glad to hear he was a cool guy in terms of this.
Yeah.
Just not good at interviews.
Yeah, just don't watch
Which
one.
Shouldn't be a part of being an actor anyway, so that's a whole bigger thing that annoys me.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's end it there so you can sort yourself out.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Tripod Talk. If you'd like to keep listening to us, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, any sort of podcast platform, and you can keep up to date with us there. We would appreciate that if you did. So again, thank you very much. And if you are already, again, thank you very much. My name is Matt Lidster. I've been your host, and I've been joined by my partners in crime, Miss Sophie Ellis.
See ya.
And Mr. Dylan Moore.
See ya.
And we have been doing an episode of Tripod Talk. See ya.
Bye.